Hey, greetings and salutations. In today's video, I'm going to do a WJ knuckle swap on the XJ. What I wanted to do is put together a video where you can come and see everything you need to do this, what tools are involved with extracting this if you're going to get your parts from the junkyard, what tools you're going to need to pull your old parts off your XJ, what parts you're going to need, why you need them, how much do they cost. All these things are in this video. Everything that you need to do this conversion is going to be in this video. And if you don't have access to a junkyard where you can get these parts, I'm going to put links in the description where you can get these parts brand new, delivered to your door, straight from the Amazon. How about that? And if you decide to buy those parts through the links in the description, channel can earn a little bit of commission that helps us out over here. So to start this video off, we're going to head down to the pick-up pole and go get some parts. Procuring the parts for a brake upgrade. I'm kneeling here in front of a 2001 WJ, going for the calipers, caliper brackets, and the knuckles to swap onto my XJ. So the tools you're going to need to do this are a pair of dikes to pull the cotter pins, a 3/4 wrench or socket to pull the castle nuts, there. Now your steering links are out of the way. Next thing I'm going to do is pull this brake line out of the way. Keep the banjo bolt and the copper washers if you can. Since I'm not going to use this rotor, I'm not going to separate the caliper mount from the caliper. I'm just taking both off at the same time if I can. Save the bolts. There. Okay. Nice. Now I need to pull the unit bearing. That's a 13 mil 12-point socket. Keep the bolts and allow you to pull the unit bearing. And the shaft on this one unit. Note to self, bring knee pads next time. Cotter pin out. Top ball joint 7/8. Can't believe I forgot my hammer. Improvise, I guess. Oh, that'll work. Don't need no stinking hammer. Knuckle. Caliper, where'd it go? Here he is. Those are a lot closer than they appear on camera. So this is what I'm into so far. A pair of knuckles, pair of calipers, pair of caliper brackets, and a set of brake shoes. They're about 50%. And with tax and everything, you're looking at $95.50. But I'm not done yet. There's a few things I need to get still. Tell you what, if I didn't have bad luck, I wouldn't have none at all.
These are the less desirable calipers. Do you see something wrong with this one? Can you see what's wrong with that one?
I tried to blow the pistons out, and one of the pistons was stuck in a bore, and I grabbed it with some channel locks to try to see if I could turn it a little bit. It just disintegrated. These are made out of plastic. These pistons, they're phenolic. This is just a fancy way of saying they're made out of plastic. Actually, more like Bakelite. I figured I got to bring these back down anyway to warranty them. So I checked the inventory, and they had just gotten some new inventory in. So I show back a couple days later. Wouldn't you know it? There's an 04 Grand Cherokee sitting there with the front tires off of it. You know, I didn't even have to take the tires off it. I just had to pull the calipers off and take the brake lines off, and I was good to go. I got the Acabano or Hacabano or Acabano or whatever they have. I got these ones, the ones that are desirable.
For the win.
Alright, now comes a critical part of this conversion. This is where we got to do some welding. Now, let's look at the difference between the XJ and the WJ knuckles. Okay, the knuckle on the left is the WJ knuckle, and the knuckle on the right is the XJ knuckle. And you can see the difference between the two, where the mounting bracket for the
single piston caliper on the XJ is part of the cast, whereas on this side the mounting bracket for the caliper bolts to the knuckle itself. What you got to do on a WJ knuckle is get some spacers, and this will go between the unit bearing and the knuckle like so, and the unit bearing go on here like this. And it's probably best to weld this on. Now I'm going to replace my unit bearings, so I took the left side knuckle and everything apart on the XJ, and I beat the guts out of the inside of my unit bearing, and I'm going to use this when I heat up my knuckle. I'm going to bolt everything together like so. So this is all bolted together, so that heat's not going to affect the location of this ring. The reason why you need to use a spacer, if you take and draw a measuring line through these ball joints, you see that the U-joints line up with the center line of those ball joints. Imagine that this distance between here and the center line of the ball joint was 1/4 of an inch shorter, throwing this joint out of alignment. So every time you turn the wheel, your U-joints would be in bind. They wouldn't last very long. And this is a hard enough job as it is. Why make it harder? And putting this spacer in there will correct the geometry, and everything will work as it's supposed to. So there's some people that would say you don't have to weld these in, and maybe that's true, but let's just look at this unit bearing cartridge, and I'll show you why you probably should. So if you look at the machine surface, it's a bit rusty, I know, but if you look at the machine surface there, you get about 3/8 of an inch of contact area that rides in this bore here, right? Mounting this spacer, which is a 1/4 inch spacer, so now you can see how much, I don't know if you can see that or not, but trust me, there's only about 1/8 of an inch of machine surface here. And that's not a lot of surface. Just to err on the side of caution, put these on, weld them in place. Here's where the problem lies. These knuckles are cast. These are either mild steel or stainless. Most guys that are going to weld these on are going to use a mild steel type wire. Cast iron is really brittle, and if you try to weld this without preheating the cast, that weld is liable to crack. Then you have to start the whole process over. So you got to heat this up either with like a roofing torch or a matte gas torch. Get this hot and weld it while it's hot, and then find a way to cool this slowly. Heat this up in my oven. Shh, don't tell my wife. Put this in the oven, heat it up to 500 degrees, and then pull it out real quick, run it out here, weld it, and then shove it in a bucket full of sand and cover it all up and let it cool down slowly that way. And the reason I did this is because I want this to be bolted together so it can't move. If you're going to reuse unit bearings, you probably don't want to do this. I took and bolted this back into the XJ knuckle, laid it across my sawhorses, and took an 1.25 I think it was 1.25 or 1.125 socket, and give it 3 good whacks around the spline part of the hub, and that fell out, and then I just took and knocked the bearings out. So I'll clean this up so I don't get too much oil and grease in my oven. In the waning years of the XJ, 99 through 2001, Chrysler in their infinite wisdom decided to change the design of the brakes in the front, and the hat, this height, is shorter. The unit bearings make up for this difference. The unit bearings are 1/4 of an inch taller, so the wheel flange is 1/4 of an inch further outboard. If you use 99 through 01 unit bearings, you should be able to get away with not having to install spacers here between, actually I think it would be here, between that and the caliper bracket. If you use 84 through 98, you're going to have to put a 1/4 inch spacer here so that the caliper bracket's centered over the rotor. If you go with the 99-01 XJ and later TJ unit bearings, you should be able to get away with not having to install that spacer, which makes things muy bueno. That's what I have. I have unit bearings for 99-01. That's why I'm doing this. It's 1 inch bigger rotor and 2 piston calipers. Now this rotor here, this new one, is not off a WJ. This one happens to be off of a Ford Explorer Sport Track. No drilling required. Same bolt circle. And I, doing some research for this, I was told that I was probably going to have to grind this portion out 1/8 of an inch. I don't know. I don't think so. I got the unit bearing right here. Why don't I check it? Oh, would you look at that? It's a direct bolt on. Apparently 1995 Crown Victoria rotors will work too. But I can't speak to that because I didn't get Crown Vic rotors. I think I'll leave that in there for, I don't know, half hour or so. Till it turns a little bit straw colored. Then I'll pull it out and weld it.
Six hours later.
Awesome. Squirt a little coat of paint on that. Cover all these surfaces first. Squirt some paint on it. Put ball joints on tomorrow. Install the knuckles.
Tomorrow for sure.
So this is what they meant by you have to grind the hub. This is roughly the same size as this. So you need to grind this down by 1/8 of an inch. Swell. To clearance that so it can go all the way in. That's the original bevel on the edge of that, and I ground about half of that bevel out. Perfect. The hits, they just keep coming. I don't powder coat anything.
I think he meant sugar coat.
I show you all the shit that you got to go through to get it done. I figured now is as good a time as any to change my ball joints. Besides, I need to change the lower ball joints to WJ ball joints for those knuckles. I went and bought myself a ball joint press. It's basically just an oversized C-clamp. I ended up dicking up my upper. You see how that's domed up on top? And that one's not. I bottomed out the threaded end and boogered the threads and pushed the taper part up into the top of the joint. So I don't want to do this again in a few miles, so I'm going to get another ball joint. I priced one down at the O'Reilly's. They want 50 bucks, damn near 50 bucks for one ball joint. I didn't pay that for all 4 of them. Also, if you get yourself some ball joints for WJ lower ball joints, get ones without the grease zerk. There's not enough room for the grease zerk, so I gotta see if I can find a 1/4 28 set screw and put some red Loctite in there and put a set screw in there after I grease it, of course. This surface here is machined flat. The top ball joint gets pressed in from the top. The bottom is a little bit tapered so that the bottom part of that ball joint press does not sit flat, right? See, it's not parallel. So it pulls it at an angle. And what was happening is this ball joint was going in crooked. I got it in there, and then I went to take the ball joint press off and realized I had buggered up the threads on the end of it, and then I saw I domed the top of it. So I went and bought another one. Like I said, it should be here tomorrow along with the U-joints. Maybe it's right there. Wouldn't that be awesome? It goes right there in that truck after I ordered it an hour ago. And look, no need for a spacer. Let's talk about the brake hoses, because the brake hoses on the XJ aren't going to work. Let me show you why. So here's the brake hose. You see that little notch right there at the top of that banjo fitting? Well, that fits right over that ledge there. And now the banjo won't line up. I can't move this without modifying that. I really don't want to modify that. So in order to make this hose work over here, it needs to come out the bottom. If you notice here, the direction of the hose, it's going up to the frame where that end of the hose meets the line and is bolted to the subframe. You see the problem here? If I put this in the same position, it ain't gonna work. Because in order for this to work, I need to bring this down to mount it like that. Now the hose isn't long enough. So what I ended up getting were the brake hoses off the front of a Chevrolet P20. I believe the P20 is like a box, like a bread truck. Here's the part numbers. 77187Z is the, for the P20 is the passenger side, and the 77321 is the driver's side for the P20. Well, if you learn nothing else from this channel, maybe you'll learn what not to do. So I got all this put back together, and I run down the road, and all I heard was grinding metal. So I came back to the house, took the tire off. My brand new rotor. Yeah. Put the brake pad in backwards. Put it in like that. Idiot. I probably should take this down and get it turned, but I'm not going to. What an idiot. Well, that's a lot better. If you got any questions or comments, comment down in the comment section. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe, and then click the bell and check the box, do all the things so you get notified of future uploads. All the parts that you saw in this video are available brand new, shipped directly to your door through Amazon. And if you use those links, the channel can earn a little bit of commission. That helps me out, keeps these projects funded, and I'd surely appreciate it. And if you want to support the channel financially, there's PayPal and Patreon. Check the links in the description. They're all there. Thank you in advance if you can afford to do that. If you can't, no big deal. It's all good. So until next time, you have fun, stay safe, shoot straight, keep your powder dry, have a splendid day. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.